Hi everyone, we are the. Trim that part.
It's okay.
Hi everyone, we are the DFA Summer Studio team working with PAWS Chicago. PAWS Chicago is a no-kill animal shelter working in the Chicagoland area. And so with them, we started out with the how can we statement of how can we better improve care for animals living in shelters. And so that's where we were a week and a half ago. And between then and now, we've done research both online and in person by visiting the PAWS Adoption Center and meeting with the Adoption Center director, as well as interviewing over the phone with the PAWS Rescue and Recovery Center director. So just a brief overview of PAWS. They're broken into two different locations, one in Lincoln Park, which is the Adoption Center, where animals who are ready to be adopted go, and the second one being the Rescue and Recovery Center, where animals who come from the Chicago Animal Care Control, i.e. the Chicago Pound, come to be processed before they become adopted. And so with that, when we talked to both Diane and Kristen, who are the Adoption Center and Rescue and Recovery Center directors, respectively, we found a few problems, mainly at the Rescue and Recovery Center. Turns out the Adoption Center is very well run, very well staffed, but with Rescue and Recovery, we found issues in just the amount of space that they have to hold the animals, issues with their supply chain, with supply chain issues. If their supplies don't get in quick enough, then that can hold up their ability to care for the animals. And then also issues just at every step of the process where if an animal is held up in one step of the process, that holds up animals moving through their system and ultimately going to the adoption center to become adopted. And then finally looking at neonatal companion animal care. And so as we've looked into those four areas, we met with our coach yesterday, and so we've decided to narrow our how can we to how can we better enable potential foster parents to care for neonatal companion animals. But that is something that we want to ask you as far as how our narrowing process has gone. And now Karen's going to talk more about neonatal companion animal care.
Sure. So we have, like Ryan said, we're looking into how we can make it easier for foster parents to care for neonates, how we can make it easier for the adoption center to care for neonates if they have to, because right now it is a very time-intensive process. You have to, when they're really young, you have to get up every 1 to 2 hours and feed them. And when they get older, it's more like 3 or 4 hours. But this can be really hard for for a shelter because most shelters and PAWS especially are not 24-hour establishments, so they can't keep an animal that needs to be fed every 1 to 2 hours overnight. So that makes them less likely to take them. And if the neonates come without a mother, which happens pretty frequently, they have to, PAWS has to have a foster parent right on standby and has to come pick them up within an hour, 2 hours. So we really wanted to, one, make it easier to care for fosters to care for these animals, because it is a huge strain on your life if you have to wake up every 1 to 2 hours. So we're kind of thinking of a couple of different paths that we could take with this. Our coach recommended kind of one that would be taking care of the necessities, feeding, and warmth, and then other like comforting areas as well, which kind of depends on what path we end up taking and if we're trying to just take care of the absolute necessities or adding a comfort aspect. So we thought about some of the different things to think about when taking care of neonates that we would try to encompass into a solution. One, socialization of them and litter dynamics. Two, heat, which is probably one of the most important things besides feeding. Animals that are this young usually can't regulate their own body temperatures, so they would go and like snuggle up to their mom for warmth. But without a mother, they have to have a heating pad. It's up to a human to make sure that they're getting all their warmth. And sound, we looking into some existing solutions. There is a really big white space with companion animals. There's kind of like nursing machines that are for livestock, and they have incorporated like a grunting sow or something like that into the sound aspect. Also, scent is important since they're developing their sense of smell. We also thought a lot about sanitation, making sure that any solution we come up with doesn't spread disease. And also, as far as restroom use, little kittens, they can't go to the bathroom by themselves. You have to take a wet paper towel and stimulate them because their mom would usually lick them. So that's kind of one of the things we're thinking about. We need to figure out how often they need to go to the bathroom because I think that would be something that would be pretty hard to do mechanically. So we have to have a better idea of that because that could be kind of a no-starter if we can't figure something out about that. Also, we want to consider the level of human supervision and the size of the litter because even if we did create some kind of mechanical device, it would still be important that cats are getting socialized with humans and that there's some kind of human supervision. So we're kind of thinking about like, oh, well, if this is just an overnight thing, it's just during a day thing, that's kind of one of the things we're considering. And then also positioning in space, which kind of goes along with litter dynamics. There's always like a runt of the litter that is less likely to get like the best nipple, if you will. It's true. So that's kind of something that we would definitely take into consideration, the litter dynamics.
So additionally with those needs, we've also categorized them by location and like what sorts of needs they are. So going across the top, it's a timeline as well as like where they're located. So they start off at animal care and control, which is essentially like the pound where they get, if someone finds these kittens, they're brought there first. And then PAWS goes through rescue and recovery, and rescue and recovery goes to animal care and control, and we'll take these kittens in. And then they're sent directly to a foster home since they can't stay at rescue and recovery without 24-hour supervision, which they don't have. And then going along here, we have the needs. So we have basic needs / medical, emotional needs, social needs, and human needs. So what we've done is we've just started to put all the needs and where they fit in, and we're looking at where most of the needs are and like what white spaces we can fill. And it looks to seem like foster parents have to deal with most of these needs since they are doing most of the care. So that's probably what we're going to concentrate on. So going forward, we are going to go to rescue and recovery on Monday, do additional research there, and hopefully talk to foster parents to get more of an idea of what they do. And we've also considered taking in a kitten so that we can get a hands-on experience with the foster process. We're still working out the details, but hopefully we can make that work.
Yeah, and then in the questions that we shared in WASP and Google Docs, it talks about these events that PAWS, they do a lot of events about animal adoption. So one of them would be like on Sunday, they're going to a mall and with all these animals or dogs mostly that are available for adoption, and then try to get people more interested in those animal care and even adopt a lot of them. So we're kind of wondering if we could visit some of them and then see how the whole process works out, and if you could find any other problems in PAWS system, that's great. So that's what the question is talking about.
And then kind of the last piece of the puzzle is about volunteers. So we've talked to a lot of people at PAWS, but there are people in like positions of power, like administrators, so we kind of wanted to get the perspective of volunteers, the people who are actually working with animals on like a day-to-day basis, and see specifically what they think about their experience or any problems they may have encountered that the administration doesn't know about, and also their willingness to work with neonatal care.
Thank you guys so much for your feedback, and have a great rest of your Sunday. Go Alumni. And GFA.
1 second.
Oh.
Okay, hopefully, like.
No, you're presenting on Sunday.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I get it.
No, it's not Sunday today. It's Friday.
Okay.
Still are we saying?